Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some consequences for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was cross-posted by JSMK from r/bestof. The post itself was collected by Puzzleheaded Rate 12, and their tagline is, "Please sir, can I have some more?" The original OP is "Don't Want a Divorce," posted to r/relationship advice. I, 37 male, got a paternity test done, and now my wife might divorce me over it. Help. My wife, 35 female, and I, 37 male, have been married for 12 years. We have 3 kids, and I always had this nagging feeling that our middle child wasn't mine. Our oldest and youngest look just like me, but my middle child doesn't. My wife has shown me a picture of her grandfather, and he does look a lot like him, but he just doesn't have any of my family features. He looks so different than anyone else in the family. I decided I wanted a paternity test to put my mind at ease. My wife got pretty upset when I brought it up because cheating has always been a deal breaker for her, but I just saw that as all the more reason to get one done. I told her that if she had nothing to hide, she should have no problem with getting one done. I tested my son, and it turns out he's mine. I thought everything was fine, and I had my peace of mind, except she told me she was going to take the kids and go to her parents for a while. When I asked why, she exploded and told me that she was seriously considering divorcing me over this stunt. That she was furious with me for doubting her loyalty to me, knowing how she felt about cheating, and that she would never forgive me for what I put our son through, making him question his place in the family. I tried to get her to see my side, that I just wanted to be sure, and that surely she could see why I'd question it when he looks nothing like me. She told me she would never forgive me for this, and hoped my foolish pride was worth the cost of my family. She hasn't spoken to me since. I need advice on how to get her to talk to me, and get her to see my side of the story, and that it wasn't some attack on her character like she seems to think it was. I don't want a divorce. Too long didn't read. I got a paternity test on my middle child because he doesn't look like me, and my wife wants to divorce me over it. Update. So it's been a couple months now, and I thought I'd update. My wife finally agreed to sit down with me a couple weeks after I posted, and as some of you said, she doesn't want to stay with me. We talked, and basically it boiled down to she wants a divorce because I don't trust her and thinks so poorly of her character that I thought she'd pass another man's child off as mine. She then said she'll never forgive me for treating my son so abhorrently. He asked why I hated him. I didn't realize I treated him so differently, but apparently it was obvious. I tried to defend myself, but she asked what I meant then, because no matter how I tried to dress it up, I accused her of cheating and treated our son like trash because he wasn't my spitting image. She then brought up she wondered if I was projecting because only one of us ever had infidelity in their background, and it wasn't her. That stung because, while yes, I had cheated in 2 past relationships, I've never cheated on her. I said that, but she said she'd never cheated at all. But that didn't stop me of accusing her of it, did it? So now my kids won't talk to me, and my wife wants to divorce me. All over a paternity test. New update. Wife won't come with kids for Christmas. Help. My wife is divorcing me. If you need all the details, you can check my profile, I guess. But the short of it is, it's over me getting a paternity test. I want to spend Christmas together, but my wife won't spend it with me. She said she'd split the day so I could see 2 of my kids, but I want her and the 3rd child to come as well. She refuses to do this. I asked my son if he wanted to come see me, and he said no. He'd stay with my wife. I said that I shouldn't continuously be punished for getting a paternity test, and that the kids deserve to spend time with a full family unit. She said our son deserved to be around someone who doesn't act in a way that makes him feel like I hate him. I tried to argue being a full family unit again would be good for everyone, and maybe we could even try to reconcile since I still don't want a divorce, and think she should give me another chance. She said no, offered to split the day again, and that was it. How can I convince her to come spend the day with me? Top comment which basically described what most people think. How? You don't. You can't. You don't seem to understand that what you did was absolutely an assault on your wife's character, a monumental one, and a pretty significant rejection of your middle son. Even though the test came out that he was in fact yours, the thought was in your head, as if you didn't want to claim him without absolute proof. Proof you didn't require for your other two for some reason. I don't blame her for never forgiving you for it. You had zero evidence of cheating. You were just so ignorant of genetics you felt that not having a matching trio of mini-me's meant that one might not be yours. She wants you to suffer for this, and that's what you're going to do. You can have Christmas with the two kids you never doubted, and without the wife and son that you did. Final update, about a month after this one. Well, final update. I need advice on how to get my wife to talk to me. Help, please. My wife and I are divorcing against my will over me getting a paternity test. She wouldn't spend Christmas with me or make our middle child see me, though she did offer to send our other two, and she refused to have dinner with me on my birthday, despite me asking her several times to do so. I finally got frustrated when she refused to see me this weekend and told her she needed to start working with me so we can work this out, and she needs to stop coddling our child and make him see me too. My wife refuses to work with me at all and refuses to send my son, who I, in her words, treated like shit, to see me against his will. I really think if I could just get her to see me, I could convince her to talk this out with me. I don't want to be the first person in my family to end up divorced. My mom says to give her space because she thinks I messed up by doing what I did, and any chance of reconciliation needs to be on her terms, not mine. But my dad is actually mad at me because he thinks I acted like a piece of crap, in less polite words, and ruined my relationship, and he has taken my wife and child's side completely. I don't want to let this keep festering, so I actually need good advice to get her to agree to talk things out with me. Editor's note. 2 months later, OP posted again on r/relationship advice, this time asking for advice on how to deal with his coworkers. It's not really an update to this ongoing situation, but in my opinion, it is interesting to read this after everything that happened. My coworkers are being cold to me. How can I smooth things over? I, 38 male, work with a young woman, 23 female, who I will call Emma. Her daughter turned 4 last week, and the next day, another coworker, who I'll call Ken, 30s male, was asking what they did. She said she got her a stuffed animal, got a 2-pack of cupcakes, and took her to a restaurant. I realized she spent maybe all of $20 for her kid's birthday. The stuffed animal was only $5. The cupcakes she's talking about are $1.10 at the grocery store, and the restaurant they went to, kids eat free. I said she was lucky her kid was young enough to not realize what a cheapskate her mom was. Emma gave me a really nasty look and said not everyone was materialistic or required expensive things. I thought that was really rude and told her not to get snotty with me because she got called out for being cheap and that kids deserve better than what she did. She told me, considering my current family situation, maybe I wasn't the best person to be doling out parenting advice, then left. I felt like she slapped me in the face. I expected Ken to agree she acted like a bitch, but he said she was right, and the guy whose kid won't talk to him shouldn't be telling anyone else about what they should be doing as a parent. I got really upset and considered going to HR over it, but decided against it. Buddy, you swung first. I found out later that Emma is really struggling and that cheap birthday was all she could afford. I feel a little bad about that, but still feel like she really overreacted, especially by bringing my family situation into it. She hasn't spoken to me since that happened, and several other coworkers are being pretty frosty to me as well. I told Emma I was sorry that I offended her, but nothing has improved. What advice do you have so I can smooth things out with my coworkers? Yeah, that final bit there was just the cherry on top that really proved that OP doesn't know how to navigate social situations or really understand how their words can come across. Now, speaking of that, I do want to talk about a once upon a time take that I had on the channel about a paternity test. And it has been a while, so I may not 100% remember how exactly everything went, but I do remember my take was definitely seen by some people as being not quite there. And I was told that because of my anxiety, I should never be allowed to have a relationship. So that was super cool. But 99% of people were pretty respectful about it and definitely more informative. I had spoken about how I have a lot of anxiety, and I could understand how someone with anxiety would want absolute confirmation, because sometimes anxiety brain can be a bitch. It certainly also doesn't aid that the tism parts of my brain see absolute confirmation as being reasonable. And with never having to have encountered this kind of conversation before, I wasn't 100% sure how to approach it. So I ended that video with the question of, well, if you have this kind of anxiety, what's a reasonable way to put those fears to bed? And the answer pretty much came down to is, this is one of those situations where it's your responsibility to manage what's going on upstairs, and as difficult as it can be, you just need to have faith in your partner. That sometimes having no evidence is enough evidence, and unless you've been given a reason to have suspicions, then to not be fearful. Actually, funny enough, when looking at it, that video was posted April 4th of last year, so it's been pretty much a year since I've visited this and had time to think about it. So I thought I would give a little bit of an update of where I now stand, as it's now been about a year, if not exactly, since I've had to actually think about this and visited that. So yeah, unless you have concrete evidence or reason to believe that your spouse had cheated on you, a paternity test in itself is in fact an accusation of cheating, anxiety or not. Now the part that gets me here with OP is the fact that he actively let this suspicion, he let this clawing insecurity of his not just be in the background of his head of like, fuck, I wish I could get confirmation on this because my anxiety is killing me. It turned into him actively treating the middle child differently. It led to him treating them so poorly to the point where they noticed. They had questions. It was a subconscious rejection of him being his son. He was being punished for something that he had no control over. And OP couldn't comprehend that, oh, well, now that I have the paternity test filled out and confirmation in your mind, let's just forget that all that ever happened. That my love for you is entirely contingent on whether or not we share genetics. Plus also the, shocker of, it turns out that OP has some history of infidelity as well, and there's a part of me that's itching to wonder if this was projection. There's also a part of me that wonders if this is more than just the paternity test considering how he treats his coworkers. So maybe this was the straw that broke the camel's back, honestly. I just still can't get over that of like, yeah, I called my coworker a cheapskate because she's not in a good financial position, and she told me that maybe I'm not the person to listen to considering how my own family's going, and I'm just considering reporting her to HR over that because that was unacceptable. Like, dude, even me, with my limited wisdom, can tell you that you fucked up big time in that social interaction. And it certainly brings up questions of how you treated your wife and kids beyond that. And yeah, it is 100% not hard to believe that you definitely treated your middle child like shit, all because he wasn't a walking mini-you. Cross-posted to UhOhConsequences by Hobbit Guy 1420, and it was cross-posted from BORU, Best of Redditor Updates, collected by Garden Geo. The original OP is Caustic Quandary, posted March 31st, 2016. Later updated on April 1st, 2016. Almond Smell at the plant. Should I evacuate everyone? Originally posted to r/chemistry. There's also some additional notes that'll be important for this one, is that electroplating is the process of coating one metal with another using electricity. It is commonly done to prevent corrosion or for decorative purposes, used to make things like jewelry, car rims, dental instruments, etc. Also, hydrogen cyanide, HCN, is a lethal poison frequently described as having a faint, bitter almond odor. I am a chemical technician, specialized in electroplating. I keep smelling almonds. My first thought was that somehow potassium cyanide was mixed with hydrochloric acid, but as I am not dead yet, I'm guessing that it is not. Any ideas? I'm worried but my supervisor isn't answering the phone, and the next shift of Chemtechs will not be here for another 4 hours. I'm the only person on this side of the plant, but we have a few third shift production employees up front. Should I evacuate everyone, or am I overreacting? Comments. Comment 1. Yeah, cyanide and electroplating go together like brats and beer. You must have a safety officer somewhere who can give you some answers, or even your boss. A few years ago, some people at a plant that recovered silver from photographic film died from prolonged exposure to low levels of cyanide. On the other hand, smell is a tricky sense. You can smell something like cyanide if you worry about it too much. but safety first. Get it checked out. Comment 2. As you probably know, cyanide salts are used as additives in electroplating baths. Usually the cyanide is bound to metal ions, so it doesn't escape from solution. But if there is somehow an excess of cyanide present and the pH isn't kept high enough, then it is possible for HCN gas to escape. It is this gas which is actually responsible for the almond smell of cyanide. Salts of cyanide have no smell since they aren't volatile. So I would certainly err on the side of caution if there is a possibility of cyanide gas release. Certainly get the area ventilated at the very least. If that isn't possible, then evacuation would be a good idea. Opie responds, I have evacuated production, about to suit up and grab some samples to run pH and analysis. We'll keep you posted. Thanks, everyone. Comment 3. If I smelled almonds in an electroplating lab known to use cyanide, I would get me and my coworkers out of there. Are there no electronic monitors in place? FYI, I have done a lot of work with HCN. OP responds, HCN was my first thought. I have had no alarms at all tonight. Doing pH and analysis on my copper strike and copper cyanide solutions at the moment, but nothing seems off at this point. Commenter 4. Props to you for noticing something was off and taking action. Even if it turns out to not be a big deal, it was the right call. Opie responding to comment 4, yeah, I hope so. So far nothing is amiss from what we have the ability to detect, but of course, no one is willing to go to the plating line I kept smelling it on without a respirator. So now I feel like management is doubting it's an issue at all. First shift got here about a half hour ago and no one is being let in. So around 200 people, including management and corporate, are in the field beside the parking lot just waiting, while me, the chemist, and the first shift techs are inside with proper PPE trying to figure out what to do with the threat when we have nothing on hand to test for HCN gas. As a side note, I hope they can prove something happened. If I get blamed for that many lost man-hours / production, I am fired for sure. Comment 4. At the very least, you've highlighted that there were definitely a gap in the planning for response to emergencies. If I were you, I would highlight all the things you did learn that could make the whole company better prepared for next time, when the incident could be much worse. The Draeger tubes needing a workflow for deciding when to evacuate, the fact that you weren't able to get in touch with anyone to consult, need someone on call. If a workplace is using something as hazardous as cyanides, these things should all be an expectation. Comment 5. If anything, you exposed a major safety issue. You're working with cyanides and have no detectors to warn of a leak? And now you've got a team investigating with nothing on hand to detect cyanide? Those are 2 major safety oversights that could have resulted in someone being killed. What if it were a legit leak and you hadn't smelled it in time? I worked in the oil industry where H2S is a major issue. If a company's H2S protocol were that lacking, they'd be shut down. That's hydrogen sulfide, if you're wondering. Comment 6. Watch yourself and others for signs of cyanide poisoning. The first things are severe fatigue and generally feeling like crap. If you or others start feeling that way, get to fresh air. And if you have oxygen, breathe that and call for an ambulance. I've seen it happen before. Opie responds, thanks for that. Still no idea what caused it. I'll let you guys know as soon as I do. Update. The next day. So, they found the source of the smell. A second shift tech thought it would be a great April Fool's prank to put almond extract on the steam lines to my plating tanks. He is, of course, fired. I have been commended by our safety director and our CEO. Thanks everyone who helped me, and I thank God it was just a prank, albeit the most humorless and despicable prank I've ever seen. Comments. Commenter 1. Dick move. Having been a toxic gas research chemist and a member of our emergency response team, this is just something not to mess around with. Ever. Full stop. In addition to termination, he also would have gotten an informally sanctioned ass beating by our production guys. Commenter 2. You saved lives because of your actions today. The lives you saved are not today, but in the future, when you recognize the course of action you took, maybe last Reddit, was the correct one. Do not let the fact today was a prank ever lead you to doubt yourself in the future. OP responds, thanks for that. Commenter 3. How did you find out who did it? OP responds, the dumbass explained everything when our boss called asking if he smelled it on his shift. Commenter 4. Whoever did that is one sick freak. You don't joke about with lethally toxic chemicals. He deserved to get fired. That is really not funny. Extremely well done to you for taking the initiative and reporting the problem. I wouldn't be at all surprised if you get a promotion sometime soon. OP responds, yeah, I agree. Absolutely nothing funny about what he did. Commenter 5. I'm happy to hear you were commended. That was a tough call that I imagine cost production time. I would have been nervous walking into the CEO's office afterwards. You deserve a pat on the back and a beer, at least. OP responds, I'll have a few beers when I get home for sure. I was so nervous I couldn't sleep at all, and I almost had a heart attack when my boss texted to tell me the CEO wanted to see me. Commenter 6. You should use this opportunity to review your lab and site safety plans with your HS&E department, or whatever they're called. Had this been a real emergency, there should be plans in place that don't involve waiting around and asking people on the internet. Make sure that you and your coworkers fully understand the materials you're handling and any related risk with them. Comment 7. OP might know the answer to this one better than most. Is the almond smell / taste thing legit? I thought I read once that it was only described once, hundreds of years ago, by one guy who ingested some and died. Since you work more closely with the stuff, could you educate me a little? OP responds, yes, it is. Had minor exposure once. Felt like I had the flu for a week. Comment 8. It is true, and at the same time, it isn't. First, roughly 30% of the population can't smell cyanide at all. The ability to do so is genetic, just like the soapy-tasting compound in cilantro or the famous bitter gent strips you may have tasted in science class in high school. Secondly, some experienced observers, like in the Pipeline pharmaceutical blog author Derek Lowe, have said it doesn't smell all that much like almonds to them. That said, a burnt, acrid, almond-like scent is often attributed to HCN, and the smell of it should certainly send anyone working with cyanide salts running for the exits with alacrity. Update point 5. Edit for those PMing me and for the comments regarding this. Pasting a comment with edits. Our safety director and the wastewater treatment / chemical manager are apparently in some hot water as well. The plant manager and the president are bringing in a third-party contractor to see what we need to do to have a safe work environment. We're currently one of the leaders in our industry for safety. Over 6 million work hours since our last incident. We call anything where someone misses a workday for job-related injuries an incident. If no hours are missed, then it's just a close call. As much as management talks about safety, it is well known among the ranks that if you get hurt, suck it up, because they will find a reason to fire you once you're better. Here is a personal example. A grate was removed so a cleaner could get under the catwalk on one of our plating lines. The proper safety protocol was not followed and the maintenance gates were not put up. I'm walking along the catwalk, go to squeeze past a carburator we had going to a nickel tank. Squeeze through, take a step, and down I go. Fell about 5 feet onto pipes and severely bruised my ribs. If I can find my old phone, I'll link a pic. I never missed one day of work, and it took a month before I felt better. The guy who did not follow safety protocol was written up, but I received a verbal warning for not being observant enough. Comments. Comment 1. You should find a new employer. Sounds like they're skimping on safety and then finding people at fault for being unsafe. Recipe for disaster. Comment 2. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that firing someone for getting injured on the job and taking time off to recover is illegal. And reprimanding someone for getting hurt when it wasn't their fault is sleazy, if not illegal. OP responds, seems that way to most advanced countries, but please Google right-to-work states in the US. Comment 3. I would have fired that tick too. April Fool's is April 1st, not March 31st.5. That is not something to be taken lightly. Comment 4. The amount of money lost from having to shut the place down and then keep it closed while you clean up that mess is not something to be taken lightly either. No one likes pranks that end up costing someone else large sums of money. OP responds further, yeah, 3.5 hours of production loss with a little over 200 employees. At least 700 hours of labor with no production to show for it. Additional details in the comments. OP, from what I'm hearing, they're taking legal action. What type of action? Not sure, but I'm guessing malicious damage because of all the lost production hours. Also, is a very, very slight correction to OP, right to work actually involves unions. It's the right to not join a union. I think you were technically looking for an at-will state, is more than likely what you were actually referencing. I really want to know the internal monologue of the guy that applied the almond oil to the steam vents, because they knew they were working with cyanide. They knew that cyanide gas can smell like almonds. So obviously, funny prank, make everyone think they're breathing in toxic fumes that could kill them. Like, the amount of steps that took place for them to go and pick up almond oil, assuming they already didn't have it, or to bring it to work, and then to think about, the logic behind it of, well, cyanide, almonds, yes, surely. Grabbing the bottle, taking it to the steam vent, and at no point did it ever cross their mind, hey, maybe making the entire plant potentially believe they're breathing in a deadly gas isn't a good idea. Just never crossed their mind. It was most likely just, almond. This one's actually from UhOhConsequences. I figured it wouldn't hurt to still occasionally cover the ones from UhOhConsequences when they would pop up. It's a best of, collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is KE9358, posted October 10th, 2017 to r/relationships. My friend's, male 29, wife, female 28, who I thought was also my friend, embarrassed me, female 25, in front of all of our mutual friends, female, male 20s and 30s. Posting this again since I'm new to Reddit and have no idea how to use it. I'm so embarrassed right now, but I do not think I did anything wrong. Let me explain the situation. I have had the same mutual friend group since I graduated college 3 years ago. It's a group of people I met through my best friend Jenna, female 25, who was my sorority sister in college. Included in the friend group is her older brother, male 29, Joe, and his wife Diana, female 28. I considered both of them my friends too, but would say I was closer to Joe as he's Jenna's brother. Diana hosted a birthday dinner for Joe over the weekend. Our mutual friends were there, but so was Jenna and his family. I was happy to get to know some of the people I hadn't met. I know his parents well and caught up well with them too. Diana and Joe also had a child recently, and I did see him a few times too. He's adorable. When we were sitting down after dinner, Diana freaked me out. She yelled at me in front of everyone to stop flirting with her husband, stop touching him, and to not come into her house and be disrespectful. People got quiet after this, before my best friend started talking about something else. I left shortly after. I truly don't think I did anything disrespectful throughout the night. I, of course, talked to the birthday boy a lot. Everyone was. I don't remember touching him too much, but it was close quarters, so I did brush up against him a few times. I did give him a big hug when I saw him, and later when I gave him his gift. That's it. I texted Jenna, and she said that I should talk to Diana and Joe about it, but that I should keep distance with him for now because she's never seen Diana this angry. I was supposed to attend their parents' anniversary party, but she told me that wouldn't be a good idea right now. I'm a very friendly person, but I respect people's boundaries. If anyone had an issue before, they could have mentioned it to me. I've not changed this in the past 3 years since I've met both Joe and Diana. I'm so embarrassed that she basically accused me of trying to sleep with her husband in front of all of our friends and his family. I feel like I can't show my face now. Too long didn't read. My friend's wife, who I thought was also my friend, yelled at me in front of everyone and embarrassed me. What can I do? I am so embarrassed. Relevant comments. Dabble Gray. Do you value salvaging your relationship with this woman? If so, I'd give her a call and ask for a brunch or coffee or some girls' outing thing, and explain to her that you're really not into her guy. Sorry that you came off that way, how horrible it must have felt, etc., etc. Showing empathy is the best way to get people to soften up. Once you reach an understanding, tell her that what she did was really jarring for you and hurt your reputation, and ask her to fix it since she's the one that damaged it. She needs to tell other people that she had the wrong idea and clean up her own mess. I know it's a tall order and most won't do this, but this would be, in theory, the proper way to repair this relationship so that everyone is happy and all the pieces are picked up. Opie responds, yes, because if I'm not good with her, then I won't be good with Joe or his family or his close friends. They were looking at me like I had 5 heads after she yelled at me. When I left, his mom said, that's for the best. I asked Jenna today if she thinks she would apologize, and she said not to expect that and to better respect boundaries. I don't know. OP further responds, in a new comment, Joe hasn't talked to me since and didn't respond to my texts. No one is going to apologize to me, and I didn't do anything wrong. I feel like I'm in an alternate universe right now. No one has ever complained about how I act. OP responds again, Jenna all but told me not to attend the party. I really want to go as I do not have family near me and her parents have treated me well. I don't know if I should push that or not. OP would later give a larger update in the comments the same day. Jenna and I just FaceTime for the past 40-ish minutes. She said that she talked to her sister-in-law, Diana, and her brother over the weekend. This is what her sister-in-law said. She sent me a screenshot. I am always touching and always flirting with Joe. I'm rude to her, ignoring her and not saying hi when I go over to their house. I texted Joe late at night, even though he had a pregnant wife at home and now a young baby. On his birthday, I went to their house, barely said anything to her, went to see their baby, I hadn't met him yet, got him all worked up, but had enough time to take a picture for Instagram, and then she had to spend the next 15 minutes calming him down. When she came back out, she saw us in a corner alone, me giving him his gift and hugging him. I touched him other times throughout the night and no one else had that problem. I did not talk to her at dinner. She was on the opposite end of the table, so of course not. Yet I was joking and flirting with her husband. She said I am not welcome in her home again. She said her brother said that he's sorry his wife yelled at me because he was the one who she should have been yelling at. Diana asked him multiple times to pull back on our friendship because I was being rude to her and I was always touching him, and he said nothing. He'll now be doing that apparently. No one ever called me out about these things, and I still think that Diana is reading a lot more into everything than there was. I did not purposely ignore her. I always talked to her. I just know Joe better and felt more comfortable with him. She's always been preoccupied with her pregnancy and now their son, so I haven't seen her as much. User Owls and Cardinals comments, it's hard to say whether you've been out of line or not. It is clear you do not feel you have, but I strongly encourage you to see this as a learning experience. When you're friends with a couple, it is good to nurture the relationship with both, and perhaps especially with the female. Women often are not completely comfortable with their husbands being close with female friends that seem to maintain distance with the wives themselves. And the same goes for men not being comfortable with wives being close to men that the husband is not. And, well, you may see that as silly, but it is pretty standard in my experience. Knowing that it is to be expected, you don't want to invite this situation again. It seems clear at a minimum that you considered her much more of a secondary friend and didn't really try to connect with her. And yeah, the late night texts are somewhat over the line. If she raised this to him to set some boundaries first and he refused or failed to, her bigger issue should be with him than with you, and it's too bad you took the brunt of it. Try to see your role in this only to try to avoid a similar thing from occurring in the future. Opie responds, thanks, I don't have too many friends who are married and parents, so it is different than when I hang out with other people who are in our friend group. The late night texts are something I have sent to other people too. I now know I shouldn't do that, but it isn't like I was hitting on him. I was drunk when sending some of them. I know now to hide my phone when that happens. I should have maybe tried harder with her, but we were close in the beginning. Since she's gotten pregnant and had her child, she's been busy with all these pregnancy things and taking care of the baby. It's hard to be friends. User test username comments, hey, drunk texting a married man late at night is sketch as fuck. And not trying to be friends with his wife because it's hard is too. I think her call out was probably justified. Opie responds, I can see why you think that, but to me, he wasn't a married man, but a friend. That's a red flag. He isn't the only person I've drunk texted. The list is pretty long and somewhat hilarious. I have tried to be friends with her. She's been busy and not around as often as Joe has. Opie continues to respond, I do think she's reading too much into it. I'm closer to Joe than I am to her. That doesn't mean I'm flirting with her husband or trying to get to him. Test username responds further, Joe seems to think her complaints have some basis in reality. Maybe you are the one not saying things clearly / in denial. Being 100% honest with yourself, are you attracted to Joe even if you've never acted on it? OP responds, he's an attractive guy, sure. That doesn't mean I was flirting with him or trying to sleep with him or anything. So, OP does give off some unreliable narrator energy, but let's just give full benefit of the doubt. Let's just say Diana snapped and for no reason targeted OP and just accused her in front of everyone that she was flirting with her husband. Is that really a relationship that you want to maintain? Like, if she is willing to, apparently, out of nowhere, snap at you and make an accusation like that, do you really want to continue trying to foster a friendship with people who are backing her up? Let alone Diana herself. But with all the information we have, including the fact that even the mom was like, that's probably for the best, it does kind of lead to the conclusion that you were at least appearing to be super flirty with Joe, even if it was subconscious. And considering you admitted that you don't see Joe as a married man but a friend, it just doesn't really point in your direction very well, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Some fun comments to take a look at on the best of, starting with Mina Murray. Joe hasn't talked to me since and didn't respond to my texts. The fact that Diana blew up on her for flirting with her husband, and then she texted him that night instead of her, wild stuff. Misi girl, Mace girl, Mecca girl, Meki girl, I don't know, one of those. So, no one in this social circle thought to talk to her before this point. They just let it build up to this. They must not really like her that much. User skinny jeans fat pants comments. Considering how she was pushing back against all the commenters trying to explain boundaries, maybe they had been trying to clue her in and she just brushed them off with, "But Joe's just my friend." User Mag Darko comments, and their tagline being erupting feral from the cardigan screaming. I know this usually gets brought up in an estranged parent context, but the started screaming at me out of nowhere stank of missing reasons to me. User Bizardas Task comments, with a tagline of, I can't believe she fucking buttered jorts. I'm 1000% sure she's vastly exaggerating this screaming at me part. Totally unreliable narrator. I bet she just finally had enough and raised her voice a little, and OP is just trying to make her look unhinged. User Tonebriz responds, even if, it doesn't even put her in a good light because apparently no one said anything to defend her after being screamed at, so it seems to have been deservedly so. Just some interesting comments that brought up additional points there. I honestly, I'm kind of in the boat where I think we're getting some missing reasons and unreliable narrator stuff going on here. But what do y'all think on this one? Because there's still a lot of just information that's missing, and there is definitely some conclusions being drawn out of thin air here from the context clues, and I don't know. I'd be curious. Don't forget, Gamer Subs, use code ODDS at checkout. Every purchase made supports the channel directly, and plus using code ODDS at checkout gets you 10% off of your purchase, no matter what. Don't forget you can have free samples shipped directly to you, if that interests you, or if you're a little bit wary of spending $40 on a tub that you don't know if you like or not. So that's always an option. I also, of course, wanted to thank everyone who submitted stuff onto UhOhConsequences this week. It was actually kind of a breath of fresh air not having to stress about trying to manually collect things or trying to go through and spending a few hours just making sure that things were ready to go for the Friday episode. That was super awesome of all of you to contribute, and I feel bad for not getting around to all the submissions. There was more than I was anticipating, so I definitely missed quite a few, and I plan on hopefully getting around to them. I'm beyond thankful. I'll need to get taglines and whatnot set up, but thank you to everyone who contributed on that subreddit. It really means a lot. And with that, I'll catch you all tomorrow.